This perhaps doesn't look the most sparkling of habitats in which to find something interesting, but I can assure you it is. However, as innocuous as this dry sandy track just outside the town of Market Warsaw where I live is, it's not the place you want to frequent. At least not if you're a honeybee. You see, the central part of this track, the part of the track where the wheels of the tractors and the forestry lorries don't go and don't crush the vegetation, is home to a ferocious predator. And it's a predator of honeybees, but will also utilize various solitary bees too. And it's the bee wolf, Philanthus triangulum. Now, Dillis and I found Philanthus triangulum, I think it was new to Nottinghamshire at the time, back in 2006. And this is the first time that I've been back to look for it. We're now obviously in 2024, so 18 years later. And I'm pleased to say that Philanthus triangulum, the bee wolf, is still here. I'm less pleased to inform you that it is incredibly elusive, and there will be no long views of this species, because when it leaves the nest it comes straight out and up and off, and when it comes back it drops literally into its nest burrow. And it's this central area where the sparse grass and other vegetation grows, that's where Philanthus triangulum, the bee wolf, makes its burrow. However, as I've got here this morning, I realise that Philanthus triangulum isn't alone. There is another species here too. You may well see at the top of the picture, just dropping literally into the hole, is Cerceris rabiensis. But you may well see a little face appearing now out of another hole, and that also is Cerceris rabiensis. We're going to get another little yellow face appearing shortly. You can see how the burrow is currently being excavated, although they do block the burrows off on a night time, both species as far as I'm aware. And I can see the occupier of this hole. It's another Cerceris rabiensis, and it's just below the lip of the spoil that it's brought out. Lots of these holes are being visited by other Cerceris rabiensis. Oh, you can almost see the face there, look. They know when something different is there. We had a glimpse. They are shy, but they seem curious at the same time. They like to see what's going off. They will retreat, but here he comes, look. They can't resist coming and having a look. Aren't they just delightful? And this is Cerceris rabiensis. I fear that this one will gain confidence and spring to the air. But what characters these are. They don't sting, so you've no need to be afraid of them. What beautiful little things. Almost like got a smiley face. In a way, I suppose they're quite emoji-like. The species will visit flowers, but a burrow is dug and lined with different invertebrates. There's something here that's feeding on shield bugs, and I think it might be this species because I've seen one or two sort of deceased shield bugs that have been too large to go down a burrow. I think it's this little chap that's doing it, but I've not been able to see. I've seen them come in regular with prey items, but not being able to determine what those prey items are. In the meantime, this one is giving us lovely prolonged views. There's one just further up the path is indeed coming in with a prey item. When they do come in with a prey item, they land straight onto the hole and go straight down. And there are two others within sight here. As something has scared this one off. Gone back down. When you walk up and down this path, you don't realise that you're being watched. But when you look into many of the holes, these burrows made by Rhybiensis, you'll see that there's a tiny yellow face staring back at you from the relative safety of that burrow. And then sometimes they will almost venture out. They spend a lot of time sat at the entrance to the burrow, and this path is a hive of activity, as here we see the delightful little yellow face of another occupier who has gone off. Now, something quite interesting here, because there are two in this hole. One was sat at the entrance and then another one basically charged in. There's one. I'm presuming they're both Rhybiensis, and there's the second with the other one just flying nearby. And the second one has retreated back down into the burrow. I don't know whether some burrows can be multiple occupancy or not. I've no idea. But nice to see two together there. It's surprising what you miss. Whole world under your feet. And this path is a hive of activity. It's a well-trodden path. Lots of people bring the dogs down here, all blissfully unaware of the world that is unfolding on this path and underneath this path as they walk by. As I sit here now, I can see 6 or 7 Cerceris Rhybiensis. Make that 9 now, because 2 more have just come in. It's a very active section of track. Insects being brought to open burrows, and smaller males in search of females with burrows by the looks of it. There's a whole world out there. Sometimes it's under there. Surprising what people miss. Because they don't look for. Easy enough to see the holes left by Cerceris rabiensis and Philanthus triangulum, the bee wolf. But it's easy for people just to assume that they're wormholes or of no real importance at all, and to many people they aren't important. But it always amazes me how people aren't tuned in to the world that is around them, or indeed, in the case of this track, under the feet.